Hello again, fourth grade. So for this week, we're going to be working to first complete our station booklet for our centers on the Mexican-American War and Gold Rush. That is still listed in last week's assignments. So it reminds you of it right here in our area that has our video notes and resources. We're also going to be working on your Gold Rush final project. So we're going to open this up and I'm going to go through, whoops, I'm going to go through the directions with you. Now I have the directions and I have an example journal entry. And then I also have the rubric down here at the bottom. So we're going to go through and read through the sample journal entries first, and then we'll go through the directions. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys get a better view. Friday, April 19th, 8-day out. Started at 7 o'clock, crossed very large prairies, some good land and some bad. No wood as far as the eye could see. 12 o'clock, crossed a small river in ferry boat. I had touch of dysentery in the morning. I am better now. Went 24 miles and camped out for the first time. The country is mountainous and uninhabited. Passed a dead horse. Sunday, July 7th, an 87-day out. As usual, we lay in camp. The day is wild and cold. Looks like a shower. All well. This, as usual, is a lonesome day. We have time to read and think of our friends we left behind. We all long to get to our journey's end. The roads is very dusty, and we look more like millers than anything else. We caught some trout last night and a few mussels. We have lived so long on bacon that anything in the name of a change is very acceptable. There is a great many sick on this road with the mountain fever. Saw the grave of a young man, died July 1849. He has a large pile of stones over his grave. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to write a journal from the point of view of a miner from your mining company, because remember, you staked a claim to land and you made a sign, so that's your mining company. So you're going to write a journal from the point of view of a miner in your mining company. You're going to use the information that you learned about each of the following. So write about the route you took to get to California. Write about your trip. What problems did you have? Write about your claim. Why did you choose that area? So this is similar to your Station 4 question for the paragraph. Remember that. Number 4, write about your daily life as a miner. Number 5, write about a group of immigrants you see. Number 6, write about how you feel about the way Native Americans are being treated. So these are the 6 things that you need to hit in your journal entries. We're going to use the rubric to make sure you get all of your points. So the first thing you need to do is write about the route you took to California. Why did you decide to go this route? So you need to answer both of these parts. If you answer both of those parts, you're going to get both your points. If you only answered one, you're going to get 1 point. If you don't answer any, you're not going to get any points for that. Write about your trips. Write about your trip. What problems did you have? So again, 2 points for the 2 problems that you encountered. So you're going to list 2 things, 2 issues or problems that you dealt with on your trip. Next, write about the land you claimed. Why did you choose it? So you get a point for the description of the land, describing what it looks like and what the general area appears like, and another point for the reason that you selected it. Why was this a good piece of land? Why did you want it? Next, it says, write about your daily life as a miner. What do you do? So 3 points for 3 events. Write about 3 things you do or 3 things in your life as a miner. Again, you hit all 3 of them, you get 3 points. Only 2 of them, you get 2 points. Only 1 of them, you get 1 point. Or if you don't write anything, you get no points. Write about the group of immigrants you see. What are they doing or how are they being treated? So a point describing the group of immigrants and a point describing how they're being treated. And next, you're going to write about how you feel about the way Native Americans are being treated. So please give an actual description. Don't just say, I feel bad. That's not descriptive. You need to tell me why you're feeling the way you feel. Describe your feeling. Describe what's causing you to feel that way. What are you observing that's happening? Dates are included for each event. So for each one of the things you're talking about, each one of the events that happened, you have a date for it. Extra points for using facts learned in the centers. So 2 points extra that you can earn here. So use your center booklet, take a look at all of the information you've been provided, and apply all of that. So you are going to be writing journal entries similar to these. They're going to be short paragraphs. As long as you hit all of these things, you can usually hit all of this in maybe 2 or 3 journal entries. If you want to do more, that's great, but you need a minimum of 2 to 3 journal entries in order to hit all of these different questions and answer them fully. Now, that will take you through the end of your Gold Rush final project. The next thing you're going to be working on is a section about women in the Gold Rush and different ways that they were able to help. So we're going to read through this together, and we're going to read through some of the letters, and you're going to just answer this question at the end. This one is really simple. You've only got the one question. So as you're reading, I do want to see you annotating and highlighting, make notes on important information. That is part of the place that you're going to be getting your points. So the first woman we're going to read about is Biddy Mason. Biddy Mason was a freed African-American slave who asked the court for her freedom and became a wealthy Los Angeles midwife. After her freedom, she worked for a doctor. In 1886, she bought some land, becoming the first African-American woman to own property in Los Angeles. She built houses on the land and rented them out to people. So as you're reading through each person, highlight the important things. So we know that she was a freed African-American slave. We know that she became a midwife in Los Angeles. We know that she was the first African-American woman to own property in Los Angeles, and she built houses on that land and rented it to people. Those are all important things that we should have highlighted. Next, we have Bernarda Ruiz de Rodriguez. Ruiz lives in Santa Barbara and was from a wealthy family. She had sons in the Mexican army and wanted the Mexican-American War to end. She met up with General John Fremont and asked him to make peace with Mexico. She helped write a peace treaty to end the war. So we've read about her before when we were talking about the treaties. Important things you want to highlight here was that she was from a wealthy family. She had sons in the Mexican-American army, and she went with General John Fremont and helped write the peace treaty to end the war. Next, we have women authors from the Gold Rush. So we have Louisa Clapp, also known as Dame Shirley. She was known for her letters to her sister from the gold fields. Even though women were not allowed to mine for gold, Louisa panned for gold and found it on her very first try. When women worked in the minefields, men sometimes took their wife's role in the home. So important things you want to highlight over here. She was made famous for her letters. She panned for gold and found gold the first time. And that an important thing to note in general is that women who did work in the minefields, a lot of times they would basically switch roles with their husbands, where their husbands would take care of the home and the women would work in the minefield, so that everyone's participating. Next, we have Sarah Royce. Sarah moved to the United States from England. In 1849, she and her husband made the difficult journey to California. She wrote a diary that became a book called A Frontier Lady. This book told people what life was like to travel to California during the gold rush. So she's an important person because this book actually became quite popular. You want to highlight her name. In 1849, they made the journey to California, and her diary later became a book called A Frontier Lady that told what life was like, what it was like for people to travel to California during that period of time. Next, we have Maria Agustias de la Guerra, the daughter and wife of a high-ranking Mexican official. La Guerra watched her native California change. She wrote a book called Occurrence in Hispanic California, and it was published in 1956. So an important thing that she did was she was documenting how California was changing with this influx, or this introduction of all of these new people moving to California during the gold rush, and how that changed the state as a whole. So you want to highlight that she wrote this book called Occurrence in Hispanic California, published in 1956, and it documented how Native California changed during the time of the gold rush. All right, so we're going to read two excerpts written by women during the gold rush. We're going to read a part out of A Frontier Lady by Sarah Royce, and then we're going to read an excerpt from the letters from Louisa Clapp. Suddenly, numerous dark moving objects appeared upon the hills in the distance on both sides of the road. What could they be? Had some of the large companies ahead camped and turned out their cattle? Or could it be that we were about to have our first sight of a herd of buffalo? As we drew nearer, they proved to be Indians by hundreds. As soon as they had ranged themselves across each line of the way, a group of them came forward, and at the captain's command, our company halted, while he with several others went to meet the Indians and hold a parley. It turned out that they had gathered to demand the payment of a certain sum per head for every emigrant passing through this part of the country, which they claimed as their own. The men of our company resolved that the demand was unreasonable. So here mainly what she's talking about was that this group of immigrants was confronted by the Native Americans that lived there, and the Native Americans came to request a fee. So a parley is kind of like a temporary peace where the leaders are speaking to each other, trying to come to an agreement. So the leader of the group of the immigrants and the leader of the Native American tribe were discussing payment. And the immigrants, the men from her company or the group that she was with, had come to the decision that it was unreasonable for them to be paying anything to the Native Americans. Now, next we're going to read an excerpt from Louisa Clapp. So for this first section, we didn't read all the way through. It was only a small portion, so we didn't see how it was resolved. But it's assumed that most likely they did not pay anything to the Native Americans. Unfortunately, the Native tribes were mistreated quite often by the immigrants, especially during this time period. Gold mining is nature's great lottery scheme. A man may work in a claim for many months and be poorer at the end of the time than when he commenced, or he may take out 1,000 in a few hours. It is a mere matter of chance. A friend of ours, a young Spanish surgeon from Guatemala, a person of intelligence and education, told us that after working a claim for 6 months, he had taken out but 6 ounces. So in her letter, she's describing how there's no real guarantee that you're going to find gold. She's discussing how it's a game of chance, right? It's a gamble. You may be panning for gold and find gold right away. You may be panning for gold for months and find nothing. You may be there and only find a small amount. So it's a gamble. It's a game of chance. She's describing that even if people came, they weren't guaranteed to find anything. Now, the question at the bottom asks you, why are these books important? So think about the information that they're providing. Why is this information important? Based on what we learned about the gold rush, based on the things that they are describing, how is that important information for us now when we're learning about it? Make sure you have your name and date at the top of this page. Make sure that the sections before show that you were annotating and highlighting. I will be checking for that. This assignment is going to be due on the 22nd. And then that will take you to the end of our assignments for this week. So remember, turn in your center booklet by Tuesday. Turn in your final project by Thursday, and by Friday is the Women During the Gold Rush. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, 4th grade. Bye-bye.